G'day, I'm Liz Ginis, Director of Communications and Marketing at Regional Development Australia, Sydney. Today I have the great pleasure of being joined by Nathan Axelsson, Executive Director of Regional Development Australia, Northern Inland. G'day, Nathan.
Good morning, Liz. How are you?
Oh, I'm a bit wet and soggy up here on the north coast today. How about you?
Very much the same. We're pleased that we're back from the coast a bit up here, but certainly very wet in this part of the world too.
Yeah, so speaking about this part of the world, for people that don't know much about the Northern Inland region of New South Wales, I'm hoping you can give them a bit of an overview of geographically what it's like, but also perhaps population.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a very diverse region. It's often called the New England Northwest. So it starts at Tenterfield on the Queensland border and sort of comes down the Great Dividing Range south of Tamworth and takes in the Liverpool Plains and then wraps up again past Gunnedah, Narrabri and Moree back up to the Queensland border and everywhere in between. So we cover about 12 local government areas. Population is sitting at around about 190,000 people. And our two main centres are Tamworth and Armidale, just to give people a reference point of where we are, but a very diverse region in terms of economy and landscape. You go from sort of the high country and out to the east and all the way through the sort of slopes and ranges and out to the flatter sort of broadacre cropping areas that we have out around Narrabri and Moree.
It is certainly a very broad region, Nathan. One of the things I'd like to really talk to you about today is some of the wonderful initiatives that RDA Northern Inland has in place to train up young people to keep them in the area and move them into those agricultural industries and farming industries, perhaps, that are really important to the region.
Yes, absolutely. That's certainly one of our priorities here at RDA Northern Inland is sort of retaining and training our young people. So one of the challenges our region has as a whole is sort of fairly stagnant population growth and decline in a lot of centres. We do see population growth in sort of the Armidales and Tamworths and Inverells. But generally in other areas we have a sort of static or declining population and one of the measures to address that is by retaining young people in the region. So we've got a couple of initiatives, particularly for secondary school students, to give them a pathway, certainly into the agricultural sector, which is the predominant sector across our region, and just giving them a bit of a taster into the working life and operations in a rural context. So one of our initiatives is the Woolwork Shearing School. That's been going for about 10 years now, and it started in Glen Innes, and it's certainly spread right across the region to multiple locations. And the Woolwork Shearing School, what it is, it's simply sort of a 3 to 5 day taster course in shearing and wool handling. So we've got some fantastic world-class trainers up here, and it's good fine wool country, particularly in the New England. So we have a great opportunity to give young students or secondary school students a taste of that life and just learn about sort of teamwork and attitude. It's not all about the skills. It's about turning up and having a go, and that's been quite successful. We generally run about 4 shearing schools per year, up to catering to about 100 students, and we've had some real success stories with a lot of those students going on into the sort of shearing, wool handling, and agricultural sector in general.
And I imagine the buy-in from locals is great as well.
Absolutely, it relies on a lot of goodwill. So we certainly have a number of farmers and businesses and organisations that provide us with a lot of the logistical details. 120 head of sheep and all of the latest gear and clippers and bits and pieces, wool presses, a lot of that comes to us on sort of a goodwill basis because the sector in general can see the importance of bringing young people through, particularly into shearing and wool handling.
So that's been going for about 10 years, but I have read that there's a newer initiative that you started as well, which is about metalworks.
These our metalwork schools. We've only run a handful of these, but they've been very successful, and it was all about a need to sort of branch out a little bit beyond shearing and wool handling into sort of rural operations, metal fabrication, giving people the skills for welding and fabrication that would be required on a farm. So we've done that in conjunction with Backtrack here in Armidale, which is a social enterprise that helps sort of young people and at-risk people. They have a fantastic facility here in Armidale, and we're able to utilise that for secondary school students again to come in, whether it's a day or two or three, and just learn sort of basic metalwork and welding, and that might ignite the spark for this as a sort of vocational choice for young people.
It's wonderful to have these programs that are hopefully keeping young people in place in communities that really need them and really need their skill set.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're always going to have people that are going, or young people that will go off to the bright lights of the city to whether to work or study. Hopefully, they come back, in later years with a partner, perhaps sort of settling and having children in the region. But there's also that cohort of children that will also stay within the region. There are skill shortages and lots of job opportunities, and this is just an avenue to potentially retain our youngest and brightest in the region.
Fantastic. So that's one way to keep communities thriving by keeping young people there and contributing to the economy and the workforce. Given population growth isn't huge naturally, but jobs are need to be filled, how else do you look to fill them?
Yeah, we're certainly a region that has more jobs than people. There are a lot of skill shortages right across the region, particularly in the healthcare and social assistance sector, whether that's nurses, doctors, specialists, or aged care workers, workers within the National Disability Scheme. So there's always an undersupply of skilled workers. So over the years, we've had a lot to do with skilled migration. We're a regional certifying body for the 494, which is an employer-sponsored visa in the region. Previously, we also handled the state skill visa, the 491 visa, which is now reverted back to government. But certainly, we still have a lot to do with skilled migration, particularly settlement services. We continue to field a lot of inquiries from skilled migrants that we've brought to the region in previous years. They often reach out to us for settlement services, things like accommodation and childcare, and those sort of non-work matters that people need to deal with when they move to a region. And if you look at our population growth, the majority of our sort of positive migration growth does come from skilled migrants moving into the region. So they're a very valuable supply for our workforce, for growing our population, and more often than not, they become very well integrated into their communities and into the region, and we get to keep them, which is fantastic. Related to that, we also undertake the Welcome Experience program in a number of our local government areas. And for people that aren't familiar with that, it's simply a concierge service that was set up by the New South Wales state government for essential workers, so people in health and education, emergency services, etc. And we've had some great success with that. We're bringing in around about 90 essential workers into the region over the past 6 months.
In terms of other services that RDA Northern Inland offers, I understand you have a consultancy service that is very well utilised.
Yes, absolutely. Over the years, we're very modestly funded, the RDA network from the federal government. So we looked for alternate revenue streams that would sort of add benefit to the organisation, but also provide broad benefit to the region. And we found a great niche in assisting, particularly local government, with grant applications, business cases, economic analysis, all of those things that are required to bring a project to fruition and connect it through to sort of state or federal government funding. And so we work pretty closely with a lot of our councils. We also work in the private sector and sort of NGO sector in a similar fashion. Over the years, I think at the last count, we've been successful with about $100 million worth of projects over about a 5-year period. So that's funded some fantastic community infrastructure, whether that's new upgraded or new roads and bridges, playgrounds, skate parks, rail trails, mountain bike trails, a lot of sort of community-based infrastructure that's critical to giving our towns and cities the right level of amenity that makes people want to move to the region.
I understand Northern Inland supplies 40% of megawatts for New South Wales in terms of energy. It would be wonderful to hear your take on the RES and how that affects your region.
Yeah, look, I think the New England Renewable Energy Zone will offer a lot of opportunity to our region. There are certainly some concerns around the impact of these developments, but in the majority, our communities realise that we need to move to a lower carbon economy. When you look at the size and scale of the infrastructure required, not just the energy transmission infrastructure, but also the multitude of private sector generation projects that will integrate into that backbone. There's huge opportunity over the next 10 years. We're talking in the realm of thousands of employment opportunities, particularly during the construction phase, which is great. And we're trying to maximize, or I should say, minimize the use of sort of fly in, fly out or drive in, drive out workforce. So we're trying to build that capacity within our region to take part and benefit from the construction phase. And, it does certainly offer benefit to communities in terms of, developer contributions and sort of legacy funds that will be available to communities to, build their infrastructure that they need, whether that contributes to new sporting facilities or road upgrades and things like that. There is a revenue stream back to local government from some of these developments, but we just need to temper it with, some of the challenges that we have with, say, neighbouring landholders or traffic issues, accommodation issues whenever these sort of big infrastructure projects come to town. But by and by, there's very positive feeling around the region for the New England Renewable Energy Zone.
And Nathan, in terms of RDA Northern Inland, is there anything else that you would like people to know about the region and the work that you're doing there?
If I look at one of the other important roles or initiatives that we play here at RDA Northern Inland, we provide secretariat and research services to the Country Mayors Association of New South Wales. And that allows us as RDA to assist with all of the sort of policy and advocacy work that benefits the majority of rural and regional councils in New South Wales. So whether that's sort of financial sustainability of local government or some of the crime and law and order issues that we're having, things around housing construction and homelessness and a lot of the on-the-ground issues that local government face, we provide a lot of the sort of policy and secretariat input for the Country Mayors Association to be able to go forth and lobby for change around some of these critical issues. So we're quite proud of having an impact beyond our lines on the map.
Nathan, I just want to thank you so much for your time today. It's been a real pleasure chatting with you, and I hope we get to do it again soon.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks, Liz.